Hey, it's Ice HTV, Saturday morning, and it is Yeti Day, yet another day of driving around in a different vehicle. And this will actually be the first official day that I ride around in my new Gold Rush Dodge Challenger wide body Scat Pack TA 392 2021. Now, good Lord. Is that like overkill, what I just said to you? Yeah, I think so. But my daughter's been driving the car to school. Yeah, you hear that? Yeah, life is good for the young teenager. And now this is my first official day that I'm a driver and kind of feel her out and see the differences that I already know, or do I know? So I'm going to be driving around here and stick shifting, and I cleaned her all up last night, and so come on for the ride and see if I can teach you anything, right? Yeah, and I'm stick shifting at the same time. Good luck, right? Anyway, so first official day, me gonna ride around this car today and give you my honest views and opinions of the Challenger Scat Pack wide body, and versus I'll compare it to like my GT Mustang. Bullet Mustang, which the Bullet Mustang, it's a nice car. Transmission, I think it's a lazy manual, and if you ever do your research on that, you'll see that Ford didn't do a very good job in gearing that. So, you know, is it a fast car? Yeah. Could they have done a better job? I think they could have. Does it have the fun factor? It definitely has that. Even though my 10-speed auto GT Mustang PP1 was actually more enjoyable. That was I just really loved that 10-speed going through the gears, and then the rev matching or the downshift. So there was a lot of benefits I felt to that car having excitement. When you get to these stick shift cars, I mean, yeah, it's fun to stick shift cars, but I think where today's transmissions are, you can get so much more, you know, that rev matching, downshifting, fun F1 type of driving versus these here. Yeah, I mean, no doubt. I mean, but you gotta be a really skilled manual transmission person to really know how to run these cars up and down the road. I mean, otherwise you will literally shift into the wrong gear. So, I mean, I've done that, and I've witnessed other people do that. So, you really got to live in these cars to know these manual transmissions. You know what I mean? So right there, you're listening. So yeah, I mean, that's not bad. You know, so she has some nice tone to her, but it's not, you know, as maybe obnoxious as the Mustang exhaust, because I'm sure, I mean, I'm not going to disagree with a lot of guys out there. Some of those Mustangs exhaust, you kind of hear that raspy noise go by you, and you're kind of like, ew, you know, versus I do give Dodge credit to I think the exhaust note does have a little nicer exhaust note, but when it comes to loud factor, factory-wise, it's, you know, you're not going to be able to compete with the Mustang with the different exhaust. You know, you can set it for quiet, normal, sport, and then like on my GT 500, you can go to track mode. So it really opens up that exhaust. And for Dodge, they didn't do that. You know, I really feel that Dodge is really riding off of 10-year-old technology. And someone would be like, well, what do you mean by that? And I'd say, well, you know, for the Dodge product, they haven't, you know, updated anything with rev matching for the vehicle, and the windows are still auto down, but not auto up. And the Mustangs, that is limited. I mean, the Mustang, you'll get the driver's side automatic up, but then like in my GT 500, both windows have auto up. But it's weird, like the Bullet only has the driver's side auto up. And then you could go to you know, the transmission. You know, I mean, I think the transmission is nice here in the Dodge product, But at the same time, you know, you have to wonder, could they have made maybe a little more of a short shifter transmission out of the vehicle? And then, you know, why didn't they put like a handbrake incorporated into the console versus you got to go down here and you got to push the brake, or an electric brake? In all sincereness, they should have put an electric brake on this vehicle, you know, instead of having to have 4 pedals down below. And, you know, just off the tip of my tongue, you know, what I'm saying to you, that's just some of the things that I notice on the Challenger versus the Mustang product. So to me, I feel like Dodge is milking the success based on, you know, this car is very popular. I mean, I believe it's had some months where it's outsold the Mustang, which, you know, that's all Challengers, not just this product here. But, you know, that's a statement. You know, if it's working, leave it alone. So I'm sure Dodge is more about, hey, you know, just leave the product alone. All right, driving a stick shift car and trying to manage all this, yeah, that's a little bit more of a project, isn't it? But going back to the comparisons to somebody saying, hey, I'm considering a Dodge Challenger, or I'm thinking about a Ford Mustang. And in all sincereness, both the vehicles are great vehicles. I think either one of them you buy, you're going to be happy. But at the same time, if you have specific, you know, intentions of how you're going to drive it, then that's where I would say, okay, what's your goal? And I would say, do you have a lot of back roads where you drive? Do you get a lot of, you know, freewheeling back roading? And if a person said, yeah, I get a lot of that, I'd say, well, I would be kind of leaning a little more towards the Mustang on that end. Or the other gentleman or lady says, you know, I just enjoy going back and forth to work, open highway driving, you know, I want to go on road trips. Then I'd be like, hey, you know, the Ford Mustang is fine, but the Dodge Challenger, definitely a heavier car, bigger footprint, definitely a very comfortable over-the-road car, has more storage, I feel, in the trunk's bigger, you know, so for sure the Dodge, I think, would be more to your liking for, you know, over-the-road driving. And these vehicles get great gas mileage. These cars, I mean, my Hellcats would get 22 miles a gallon on, you know, just driving down the road and open highway driving, not being, you know, too hard on it. And I'll be amazed if this car here doesn't get at least 20 miles a gallon. Now, the Mustangs, I just don't see that. I don't see the good fuel mileage out of those Mustangs, which is kind of surprising, being that they are a lighter vehicle. You know, so yeah, so that would be the first thing I would be inquiring about somebody that says, hey, you know, what do you think of what I'm trying to accomplish and what I'm trying to get? And far as dollar value, you know, I think that you're probably going to get a little bit more out of a car on the Mustang than the Challenger. You're probably going to pay, I think you're going to pay $2 to $4 grand more in the end for a Challenger over a optioned out Mustang. And I could kind of be wrong on that, but I just feel like the Mustang's less money. It's a bigger volume product overall, worldwide product as well. So coming up to a stop here. Yeah, so, you know, I think that if somebody said, well, I'm looking at a Camaro. Now, for me, I don't own a Camaro. I haven't been behind the wheel of a Camaro, but I would have kind of more of the thought process that the better comparison with a Camaro would be the Mustang. You know, so if somebody said to me, hey, Camaro or Challenger? Well, I would take this conversation to use the Mustang as a comparison. Because the Camaro, you know, I'm not like a huge fan of the Camaro, even though I've come very close to buying one. And they are very fast and, you know, good back road cars. There's nothing wrong by any means the Camaro. I mean, the Camaro is a nice product. So, but for me to sit here and start talking on a video about, hey, do you buy a Camaro versus a Challenger? You know, yeah, I can't honestly answer that. Can I honestly answer the Mustang versus Challenger? I feel, yes, I can be more sincere with somebody and say, hey, here's the pluses, here's the minuses. You know, and as we all know, the Challenger still has that, you know, retro feel from the, I should say, the look, not the feel. I had those 70s Challengers in CUDA, and yeah, nothing, you know, no way. The new product just is really, really nice car. So, you know, I'm doing a lot of back road driving right now, and I'm going to be out on the open highway here eventually, and you can probably hear the exhaust note on me. So yeah, this thing definitely has a nice exhaust note to it, you know, a little bit more than I thought it would be. So that's kind of encouraging. I do like that right now. You know, for me, you know, I grew up Mopars. I mean, for me, for anybody being a Mopar fan and, you know, favors the Challenger, to hear my conversation about the Mustang, you know, I know I'm on forums. You know, they'll be like, "Oh my gosh, you know, no way," and you know, I'm the type of person where I'm going to side with what makes sense. I'm not going to side with, because I was a Mopar guy my whole life, that, oh, of course it's better because I was a Mopar guy. I'm no way. I'm not going to do that. And vice versa. If I was a Ford guy my whole life, I'm not going to, you know, side with, well, Ford's a better product because I'm a Ford guy. You know, so for me, I can only hope when you watch my videos, you do get a, you know, a message that, hey, this guy's not like bent on one brand or the other brand. You know, he's more informative about what each product and brand brings to you as the buyer and driver of the vehicle. So now what's really nice about this car is I'm in 6th gear. And look at this. I mean, you know, we're like 1,200 RPMs. I mean, so, you know, this is what I say. You talk about an over-the-road car, you know what I mean? I mean, if you talk about an over-road car, this is a car that, you know, you're just going to be able to get out in the open highway and go 80 miles an hour like nothing, you know, so, which is really cool. And as far as the ride goes, I mean, yes, is this car a comfortable ride? It is. It really is. Is it a choppy, bumpy ride? You know, no. You know, now is the Mustang choppy and bumpy? Not really, but it does have a little shorter wheelbase. It is lighter, and, you know, so with all those variables there, you are going to have, you know, a little more of a you know, I wouldn't say bouncy, but, you know, it's definitely more sportier. So will it bounce you around a little bit more? Yeah, maybe. So, you know, back to the 6th gear manual. I mean, oh my gosh. And right now, you know, sadly, I had to sell my Hellcat Redeye back in June due to the pandemic. The pandemic did huge financial harm to me and my business. And just sadly, I had to let it go. And you kind of watch my other videos, you hear that kind of story here and there. So now as we're kind of going in the corner here, you know, this is right there where instantly I felt the weight of this car. So that's the first time I've kind of gone into a corner at respectable speed. And yeah, you can feel how this car is pulling, you know, more G's to the right than to the left. Now, is it radical? No. But is it a difference from my Mustang? Yes, absolutely, it is different. You know, and it's in that conversation here, anybody be like, well, that's, you know, that's nothing new. We know that conversation. All right, so I just went through the gears here, and yeah, definitely a lot longer shift. You know, but you know what's incredible is if you look at the numbers, 0 to 60 numbers, this Challenger is every bit as fast as the 5.0 Coyote motor, which, you know, here you have the 6.4 392 motor. You know, this has 485 horsepower. You know, I mean, as much as I hate to say it, I think the Mustang, I think the Bullet is at like 480, I think. I can't be exact. It's 460 or 480, but the Mustang doesn't have as much torque. So, you know, once again, here's a 600-pound heavier car a lot longer throw and shift, and yet this thing's like head-to-head with the Mustang, which is pretty impressive. 600 pounds. That is a lot of weight. You have guys that race cars, and and they're trying to eliminate 5, 10 pounds, 20 pounds. So to be talking a 600-pound difference. Hear that blinker? I love the blinkers in these Mopar products. All right, so I just kind of left off where I really like the blinkers in the Mopar products, the Challenger. And what's interesting is my daughter, I never even really talked about this. My daughter actually brought that up. She actually said to me when she was driving the car the other day, she said, "Dad, I really like the way these blinkers sound." And I was like, wow, that's pretty inquisitive. She was really kind of attentive to the vehicle, if you know what I mean. So going back to the speed of this vehicle, in all reality, is every bit as fast, or I should say the Mustang is every bit as fast as the Challenger. You kind of hear that the gear and all, that's fifth gear. So what I would think, even though this car has longer shifts, I would speculate that the transmission is geared better for the faster 0 to 60. That's a big complaint on the Ford's 6-speed manual, that they did a disservice to it, where it just isn't really geared efficiently. And there's an engineering type of guy that did a video on this about a year and a half ago, and I watched his video, and he did a really good job of explaining the different transmissions between the Ford transmission manual and the automatic. And he went into great detail on how he said Ford really didn't do a good job for the Bullet in that transmission. And it just was saying on how it makes it slower, not faster, from the previous generation manual transmission. So that's probably something that this Challenger has over the Mustang on that aspect. And the manual transmission, for me, I drive around so much. Manual transmissions are fun, but if I was really to be working on this car a lot, it'd be an automatic transmission. The manuals are just too much work, because you can't be doing other things as easily when you're having a manual shift versus having an automatic. But yeah, I hear everybody out there that loves manuals. I get it. It definitely is very fun. My daughter, I'm sitting in this car today because of my daughter. I've mentioned that throughout the videos of buying this car. It went for my daughter. I wouldn't own this car. There'd be two reasons. Number one would be the manual transmission, and number two would be I would debate the color of it. Even though I think the color is unique and different and cool, long term, I don't know. I'm the type of guy I'd be like, it's not really the right choice. Even though as of now I have it, I definitely like the car. I think it really is cool. It definitely has a really cool theme to it. So, alright, so as far as now me being in the car and driving down the road, and somebody may say to me, hey, I'm pretty fortunate. I get to ride a lot of back roads, and something I learned many, many years ago. If you're going to drive back roads, and you can't get radical in back roads, you're really putting yourself in such tremendous financial, physical, there's so many things that can play out if you crash your car in the back roads or injure somebody. So, but it's always good to know the road you're driving, So yeah, can you have a free-spirited run where this is a pretty open up area? You can see, yeah, great. To be doing silly, crazy speeds around blind corners, I think you're an idiot. I wouldn't do that. So, try to, if you're going to go out and have fun in your car, definitely know the back roads that you're driving, and don't get too stupid, because eventually it catches up with you. So now driving the car, driving the Challenger, and somebody might say to me, well, hey, since you've had, the different Challengers, you had the, I had this Challenger product in 2015, it was the SRT. package, but they didn't have a wide body at that time, and it was an automatic transmission and not a manual. And I had adaptive cruise control on it, if I remember right. You know, that's going off memory. I think I did, and I just really liked that vehicle. And even today, I think I should have never sold that vehicle, because it was a Patriot Blue, which was one of my first Challengers I bought in 1983, I believe it was, maybe 84. I bought it from my brother's friend, a Patriot Blue 1971 Challenger with a 360 motor in it, automatic trans, electrical issues to the hilt. But going back to driving this car versus my 2015 narrow body, and then I ordered a 2016 Plum Crate Hellcat with an automatic transmission, and once again at that time it didn't have a wide body. And then I kept that a few years and I sold it, and then about a year later I picked up a 2019 Dodge Challenger Redeye, aka Demon motor in it, wide body, octane red, automatic, with a peanut butter leather interior is what I call it. And so now somebody'd say, well, okay, you know, what's your impression so far of this car? And being I've only driven this car maybe, you know, 50 to 100 miles. I mean, I don't even think that, but, you know, so yeah. So what's so far my feelings? Well, I think this is a really nice package. I really do like the wide body footprint. I really love the way the vehicle looks with that wide body stance, even though there's a lot of, you know, Mopar guys that are not into this wide body. They're narrow body guys, which that's fine. That's what makes the world beautiful. And we've got a guy up here on a lawnmower that does he have any clue that I'm behind him right now? Which I have no idea. So yeah, that gets crazy. So yeah, so now you say, okay, well, you're a Redeye. Well, everybody knows. So now, you know, somebody says, well, you had your Redeye wide body, and now you're driving the Scat Pack 392 manual. What does it feel like? And I would say, you know, driving the car right now, if I didn't know what I was sitting in, I would say I'm in my Redeye wide body. And somebody would be like, no way, how could you ever say that? I'd say, well, the footprint, the suspension, you know, the feel is exactly the same. I mean, it really is. The exhaust note, I think the Redeye Demon motor has a little bit more of a throat to it. So yeah, I think it's a little louder. But exhaust-wise, I don't think radical. Now, am I hearing a supercharger? Well, of course not, because it doesn't have one. But as far as the feel of the vehicle, I would say, you know, I wouldn't be able to tell you the difference right now. So let's listen to the exhaust. Fourth gear. Fifth gear, and I never went over 2,000 RPMs. All right, so as far as this vehicle compared to the wide body Hellcat Redeye, you know, I honestly can tell you right now, these cars feel exactly the same. To me, at this point, driving it, you know, the steering, the suspension, the feel, it feels just like my Redeye did, which that's very encouraging. I mean, for me, I have preached it for years. I've even have said it on my forum that even myself, I've questioned, you know, why do I have to have the baddest ass, most horsepower, you know, car, which, you know, we all get that if you're a car nut, that you want that ultimate performance kick in the pants. But at the same time, it's a lot of money. And if you're not tracking the car, I mean, if you're not tracking the car, do you really need that 800 horsepower or 700 horsepower? This 392, you know, 485 horsepower, it is an extremely fun car. You know, one part of me says I should be making a video that talks like the Challenger and Mustang comparison, which I have been talking a lot about. And then I should talk about, you know, the Challenger, different models and variations of what you can buy versus, you know, that type of comparison. Here I'm shifting with my left hand, just so you know. Yeah, I know. I need to get some other updated technology. You're right. What are you doing, man? You're making YouTube videos, and what are you doing? Yeah, I know. I get it. So let's go to second gear. I like the second gear in this car, but here's another thing I just thought about. This car doesn't show you the gear. Doesn't tell you what gear you're in. You know, the Mustang and a lot of other cars these days tell you what gear that you're in. Okay. And somebody be like, oh, that's ridiculous. Well, yeah, I mean, to a degree, but at the same time, where technology is, why can't you have a gear selection that shows you what gear you're in? I mean, if other manufacturers are doing it, why can't Dodge do it? Well, I mentioned earlier that you've got, you know, a product that Dodge is, I feel, making a bloody fortune off of, because they're riding off, you know, the same platform for the most part since 2008, you know. And yeah, I know there's been a lot of upgrades, a lot of changes, but overall, you know, you're talking 2008 to 2018 is 10 years, to 2021 is 13 years, they're now into the 2022 model year, 14 years on, you know, this basically the same platform vehicle. And out and about these back roads, you'll find that. So now we're in fifth gear, and we're at 2,000 RPMs at 57 miles an hour. That's not bad. Now, what's going to be interesting here is how we doing on fuel economy. So, do we have that right here? Where is that? Tire pressures are pretty good. Horsepower. So it must be somewhere else. Where is it? Look at that. Yeah, I better erase that. Yeah, yikes. You said 13.8. Now, my daughter drives pretty much in stop and go traffic and back roads. So it's not like she's been driving open highway. I think once you get the open highway ride, you'll get 20 out of this, or more, or better. But driving, you know, stop and go, the manual transmissions these days are worse than automatic vehicles. That's a fact. So you'll pay a gas guzzler tax. I paid $1,000 gas guzzler tax on this vehicle because the combined EPA was less than 18 miles per gallon, and that's the threshold in order to get waived to not have to pay a gas guzzler tax on a sedan vehicle. It has to be 18 miles per gallon or better. If it's under, you pay a gas guzzler tax. You'll hear me talk many days about these seats, and you know, in the Mustang, I believe there's 3 different seats in those cars, from the GT to the Bullet to the GT 500. And, you know, I think the Bullet's seats are not that great. Now, this cloth seats in this Challenger seem to be very actually supportive and comfortable, and I'm pretty impressed right now. I just kind of thought about that. In my GT 500, those are the most comfortable leather seats, I feel like, in the Mustang product. And for the most part, Dodge has always had comfortable seats, but I've always have had the leather seats. So that's a plus for this Scat Pack cloth interior package.